But as I was saying, if you're a student and you're getting ready to start your school day and you need to log into maybe Zoom, maybe your email, maybe your gradebook application, our product helps you do that with only one username and password. So you don't have to remember all of these different usernames and passwords for all of your applications and go through the experience that many of us go through when you get locked out and you have to reset your password multiple times. So our product helps create that seamless login. And then we also do a lot of the security behind it to make sure that you are who you actually say that you are. And so we help tons of companies across the world provide these products to their employees. So happy to provide a little bit more detail about our company as we go through, but wanted to set the stage up front. And now we'll have our panelists go around and just describe a little bit about your roles and how long you've been at Okta. I think that might help folks. So I'm Ali Kozel. I am a social impact specialist at Okta, and that means I work on our Okta for Good team, and I help connect our employees to our different community partners. So I lead the relationship with Fremont High and with our Oakland Education Fund to help provide opportunities like this to our employees. And I've been at Okta for a little over 3 years. And I'll kick it over to Michael to go next.
Thanks, Ali. It's great to be here. Good morning, everyone. So I've been here about 3 months, so I'm pretty new to Okta. But what's so great about Okta is we have folks all over the world. I'm in Chicago, so I spent my weekend digging out of a foot of snow, which was super awesome. I sell Okta, so I speak to folks who come to us who have jobs maybe in information security or in digital marketing, who are looking for tools and understand that Okta is super awesome. So I help explain what we do, how we do it, how maybe we do it differently than other folks in the space, and sort of take them on the journey to learn all about Okta, see the platform, and hopefully make them super happy after they become a customer. Hope that makes sense.
Thanks, Michael. Erin, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Erin. I actually also just started at Okta a few months ago. I started in October. I am a developer support engineer, which basically means if you think back to, so basically customers or customers that are using Okta that have questions about various technical aspects of implementing it, they come to us and we help them solve those issues and challenges. Yeah, I think that was all the questions. Yeah.
Where are you based out of, Erin?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm in Washington, D.C. We also got a lot of snow this weekend, but not nearly as much as Michael.
Awesome. Anna, do you want to go next?
For sure. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. My name's Anna. I am a specialist here on the customer marketing team at Okta, also based in San Francisco. And I get to work with our awesome customers, finding different ways to tell their stories. So that could be making videos with them or writing case studies, so stories about how they're using us and sharing those across every possible channel.
Thanks, Anna. Bhavana, do you want to go next?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bhavna. I'm a software engineer in test at Okta. I write code that tests the application. I write code that everyone else at Okta uses to write their own tests. Me and my team, we also test the product that finally goes into, excuse me, into production. So that is what software engineering test means. I'm here in San Jose. Pretty good weather as compared to maybe the colder places. Not that snow is not good. Yeah, and actually I went to school in Chicago, UIC. So Michael, I totally remember digging my car out of the snow once.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Okta folks. I think that's it for the round of intros.
So yeah, we're so grateful to have you all here, and it's cool that there's such a variety of sort of job titles. I know our students, their career interests, we've been working a little bit on this, and they're like all over the map, from tech to healthcare to construction, really all over the map. And so I think one of the things that we would love to hear from you all is sort of general advice on what your specific path looked like how you got from high school to where you are now. And then I guess also more general advice for students who aren't in the workforce yet, but are very soon going to be making that jump.
Yeah, absolutely. Anna, I know you have to jump in a bit, so do you want to start?
Yeah, that would be great. There's a few things that I would say. So I am about 3 years into my professional career, and I didn't necessarily ever see myself going into the path that I did in the first place as a high schooler. I just wanted to, do the best I could in class and get good grades, see where that took me. But I didn't really have like a set job that I was hoping to work in one day. One thing that I did learn that I use this as my mindset in my job today is to just take all the small little skills that I learned from maybe an internship, or even I worked at a fast food restaurant when I was in high school, little things that I have gained throughout my life, and try to understand how I can apply those different skills in different settings. Because a lot of us are like me, we don't have a specific trajectory, but we all have skills that can be applied in a lot of different areas. So I think taking a time to step back and just even taking mental notes and keeping track of like, what have I done? What have I learned from it? And how can I use those in the future? I think is a really good way to kind of help find direction and be able, especially when you are applying as well and building resumes, it helps in that respect as well, because here are things that I have already experienced. Here is what I am skilled in, and this is what I can bring to the table in this kind of job or internship. So that's something that's been working for me, and I think will help for other people who may not necessarily have a set career path in their mind.
Awesome. Thanks, Anna. That's really helpful. Does one other person from the Okta team want to chime in with their career path?
I can go, and my perspective will be a little different because my high school was outside of United States. We did first grade to 10th grade. That 10th grade was called high school, and then if you choose math and physics and science, you go to engineering route. If you choose biology, you go to the medical route, and then there were arts and other routes. So I picked math. I finished 11th and 12th grade, then had to go through a competition, did my computer science graduation for 4 years, and then did 2 years master's in UIC here. So that was kind of how I built my computer science career. I know pretty boring, and this is this is more than a decade ago. um, One thing that um, I hope I did more of was staying more aware and up to date with whatever field you want to build your career into. So computer science specifically, or coding, testing, or security field, there are a whole bunch of podcasts that are available that will keep you updated on the latest developments. What's going on? Is there any attack that's coming up? How are people solving it? So it's pretty fun stuff, and I wish I had done more of that. But yeah, better late than never.
Thank you. Michael, do you want to share your experiences as well?
Sure. So I have an extremely windy path that has brought me to Okta. And I will say that I have two high school, sophomore students of my own, whom we talk about this every day. So my baseline advice would be to do what you enjoy or what you're passionate about, because otherwise it's not as much fun. So if you're, construction appeals to you because you like building things, or you like being outside, or whatever it is, you've got to have some baseline interest or passion about that, because it's going to help you propel into your career and grow and learn and all those great things. So I actually thought I was going to be an architect when I graduated high school. I went to college. I took my first philosophy course, and things sort of expanded. So, never keep blinders on to think you're going to get locked in and that's all you're going to do. Sort of explore and look around in your world and see if there are new things that are interesting to you and sort of our new passion or new motivation. I eventually went to law school, so I'm an attorney, and I practiced criminal defense here in Chicago for about a decade. But long story short, I got tired of doing that, and I fell back on the advice that I learned, and that was go do what you enjoy, right? What else do you enjoy if you're going to make a career change? And I've always been sort of, and I say this lovingly, I've always been a nerd, a geek, right? A computer guy. So I thought, I think I'll go into the computer field. So went back to school, and being an attorney is a lot like sales. So I got into sales and computer software, and here I am. And and I have a son who's into computer stuff, and he's going to go be a computer engineer, and maybe my other son, not quite sure, but it's it's a baseline about what they're interested in, and that's going to kind of define their path as they grow up.
Thanks, Michael. Erin, do you want to share as well?
Sure. So I have a lot of different thoughts about this. I'm similar to Michael in that I've also taken a pretty windy route to get to Okta. So I studied international affairs in college. I started out working for a nonprofit in DC. I then did marketing for a couple of years. I did consulting, and then I recently started at Okta as a dev support engineer. So I think one thing that I think is really important that I've realized is, so I'm 32 years old, and I'm just now in a position that is the job that I actually want. So I think you don't have to decide what you want to do right now, and that's the only thing you can do for the rest of your life. Like, you can do different things. You don't what you pick does not have to be the thing that you do for the rest of your life. If you decide you don't like it, that's fine. You can do something else. So I think that's important. And the other thing that I think I also didn't realize when I was in high school, so I didn't have a lot of female math and science role models around me. So I think I kind of internalized this idea that I was just bad at math and science, and therefore I didn't really pursue. It didn't even occur to me to consider a career in something like computer science. And it wasn't until, so I went through a program called Flatiron School, which is a coding boot camp. And it wasn't until I did that I realized that, most people are not just inherently bad at some things. You may have a different way of arriving at answers, but you're probably, if you think that you're bad at math or science, you're probably not. It could be that, your learning style is different, or that, the way you absorb information is different, but you're probably not just bad at it. So I think that was something really important for me to realize, is that, like, this is something that I can actually do, So yeah, that is my biggest piece of advice.
Thanks, Erin. I think that's super helpful. Just quickly, a little background on me. Similarly to Erin, I went to college and I studied event management, and I thought that event management is what I wanted to do, and it was going to be my career path forever. And I just absolutely loved it. It seemed so fun. And then I got my first internship in college in event management, and I hated it. It was not what I wanted to do. It was not at all what I thought it was going to be. It wasn't like the glitz and glamour, that you had seen on TV. And I was back at square one, and I was like, now what do I do? And so I really tried to take a look at similar to Anna mentioned, those different experiences and what I liked from them and what I, was good at and which ones I didn't like. And then tried to find a career path that leaned more towards the things that I liked as opposed to the things that I didn't like. And it ended up taking me 3 or 4 more tries to find what I actually liked in the job that I have now. But I definitely learned different things along the way, and I learned more about what I didn't like and what I didn't really want to do. And that helped direct me to find that career path that I didn't even know existed when I was in college and when I was in high school. I had no idea that this type of career was out there. And so I had no idea when I was, growing up and learning that this was even a potential for me until I got out into the workforce and met people and learned about these different opportunities. So there's tons of different opportunities out there, more than just the 5 of us, that are represented here today, and the experiences of your teachers and your parents and your family. So any way that you can learn about the different opportunities is only going to help you as you move forward.
I'm noticing a common theme regarding to how how people go through from one career to the next career to the next career, and it's just a windy road to get to kind of where you're at now. My question then being, during those moments of like the unknown, right? So our students right now, our juniors, there's so many unknowns in terms of their futures and not knowing what they're interested in and not knowing what careers they want to get into. What are your recommendations in those moments of uncertainty? That how do you get past that? How do you push forward still? How do you continue to strive for something different and transition to something where you're at now? What are your recommendations in those uncertain times?
I'll jump in real quick. I don't think it ever ends, right? I mean, you know, I've got my own high school students, so that'll tell you a little bit about how old I am. But moments of uncertainty never end. You're always, not everyone, but oftentimes people wonder, I just had a bad day and is this what I want to do or whatever. So number one, realize that you're not unique if you feel that way. What helps me is to just talk it over with either colleagues or classmates who I trust, friends and family. I mean, there's something to be said about sitting down with a friend and saying, I'm thinking about making a change or I'm feeling uncertain. So let me bounce this off you to get their perspective as an outsider, and hear what they think. And they're probably going to say, you know what, I have similar thoughts. So realize it's not unique, and change and, growing and new thoughts about different career paths. It's really, it probably comes across everyone's mind, if not daily, a lot.
I think it also helps to for a bit stop continuously thinking about it. Maybe take a break, go back to not for days, not for months, but just for a few hours. Stop thinking about it. I would just go put on some music and disconnect. And then when you come back, you'll have fresh set of thoughts and be able to think more clearly about it.
I think the other thing too is sometimes when you're in that position where you're thinking about making a change or going in a certain direction and the outcome is unclear to you. I mean, at some point you have to look at it like you're just making an educated guess. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. All you can really do is gather as much information as you can and then make an educated guess about how you think what you think the result is going to be. And sometimes you have to just do it, like you there's no way for you to really know exactly what's going to happen. But like Michael and Bamana said, talk to as many people as possible, take a break, come back to it, and then at some point just make a decision. Because like we were saying earlier, you can always change your mind. You're allowed to change your mind.
And I have to hop off soon, so I just wanted to jump in one last time. I kind of following with what Erin said, I think for me, I would usually get the most overwhelmed putting a lot of weight on the decisions I was making as if this decision is set in stone for the rest of my career, rest of my life. But being able to take a step back and just knowing that I can make this decision, I can make a new one tomorrow, I can change it again, takes off that heaviness, and it makes it feel more like you don't feel as, I would say, anxious about what you're doing, and it can help you have a clearer head when you're trying to decide what you want to do next. So that's just one thing I wanted to throw in there.
And thank you so much. I know you got to leave pretty soon, but we do want to thank you for your time and being here with us. Appreciate you so much. I think we have a question in the chat. Josh, would you like to ask that?
Sure. I know when a long time ago, when I was a young man, my career didn't always go in ways that I expected. And sometimes it felt like it was going backwards or the wrong way. And I would love to hear if that's ever happened to you, if you've ever had a job that you were like, this is a dead end thing and I hate it and it sucks. And then what did you do to kind of steer back to where you felt like you were on the right path?
I can jump in here. Prior to the role that I have now, I was still working at Okta, but I was on the marketing team. And as I shared before, I thought I had this idea in my head of what I wanted to do. I graduated school with a marketing degree, with a minor in event planning. I thought I was setting myself up for super success. And then I got out into the world and I got into the role, and I was really not feeling fulfilled by it. I just felt I was kind of going through the motions and I really didn't love it. And so what I kept trying to remind myself is that maybe this isn't the career that I want for the next 20 years of my life, but if there's important skills that I'm gaining in this role that are still going to be valuable to me, no matter what career path I go into next. So it was important for me to remind myself day in and day out that I need to give my 100%. I need to give my all. I still need to work hard, and I need to continue to learn and develop these different skills that are presented to me in this job, because I'm fortunate to have this job. And that ended up working in my benefit, because I worked really hard on that team, and then I was able to learn about different opportunities at Okta. And that's where I found this current role on the Okta for Good team. And I found different ways to incorporate the job that I had that I didn't love with the potential career path that I really wanted. And so I found some overlaps, and I ended up doing marketing for our nonprofit customers, which was extremely fulfilling and it was way more in line with the things that I wanted to do. And then I ended up building a really great relationship with my current Okta for Good team. And so when they had a role open up on their team, I was the first person that they looked to see if I wanted to join their team and to transfer internally within our company. So I think there's still valuable lessons that you can get, even if you feel like you aren't going down the right career path. As Michael mentioned, talking to people. And I had a really serious conversation with my dad when I was like, I don't want my boss's job. I don't even want my boss's job. Like, how do I get out of this if this, the next steps are not what I want in my career? And so I took a look across the company and I found a leader at the company that I admired and that I wanted her job and I wanted to be like her. And then I found different small steps that I could take every day to build that relationship and to build those skill sets to hopefully help me get to the career that I wanted to be in. But it took a long time. It took 2.5 years of being in that other role and learning and figuring out along the way what I didn't like and how to get to a different path and talking to people and building those relationships. It didn't happen overnight.
Coming back into the conversation of resume, as our students are developing resume, in your perspective, how important is the resume? And if a student who have never worked before, what are recommendations on things they can include to be able to acquire the first internship or the first job?
So maybe I'll jump in real quick. I think resumes are clearly important, but they're not the end all be all, right? You're not going to win or lose. You might lose a job, but you're not going to win an internship or a job solely by a resume. It's going to be your foot in the door. So I think it's really important to highlight what might set you apart from other people applying for that role, regardless of what it is. So if you know there's an internship and you think other classmates might be going after that, simply listing that you go to this school and this, and you're a participant in these clubs are probably shared by your classmates. So I think it's important to point out, well, what makes you different, right? And in maybe in some really high level bullet points, because folks who get resumes get a lot of resumes, right? And so if you can quickly draw their attention to what makes you different than maybe other folks who are applying, and it could be grades, you're a straight A student, or it could be community involvement, you volunteer at some organization that you're proud of. So they're going to see, engagement, that you're maybe a student that pays attention in class, but bring those things that are different about you up front in a way that they can quickly see it, that will grab their attention, hopefully give you a call and bring you in for a conversation.
So I would like to add to that, at least from the software engineering perspective, we go through resumes, and definitely it gives the first sneak peek into a person's into a person's career. So as Michael mentioned, what sets you apart from for software engineers, at least if we see, and people who are beginning their career, how passionate are they to get this career started? Do they have maybe make a LinkedIn profile, maybe make a simple website, and that'll set you apart from the other people in your class. um, so something to set you apart. And from resume perspective, one thing I would definitely want to say, and it's not related to the topic of conversation we're having right now, but keep it to one page. And it's not for the student. Even my resume is one page, and I've spent 14 years in the industry. um, yeah, I'll stop there.
I think the other thing that can be really helpful, and this kind of goes back to what we've been talking about, but like, let's say, so it's February now, let's say there's an internship that's coming up in the fall, let's say August, September, and you're wondering, I don't currently have a lot of experience related to this. How can I, set myself apart? Like, whatever that internship is, figure out a way to voluntarily do that work beforehand so you can put that on your resume. So like, if you're applying for I don't know, some sort of medical internship, like go do some volunteer work at a hospital. Figure out a way to be able to do that job beforehand so that you can put that on your resume, even if you're not getting paid for it, and that will help you a lot.
We have a student who's asking, who inspire you all to keep going to find a good career path?
Erin, do you want to start us off with that one?
Sure, because I mean, like the rest of you, I've also gone in a lot of different directions. And I think part of it is just, at the end of the day, you spend a lot of time at work. You spend 40 hours a week doing your work. So I think for me, it was just the commitment to wanting to spend that time doing something that I liked doing. I think a lot of people get stuck in a rut of just going through the motions and collecting a paycheck, and they're bored and they don't really love their jobs, and it's easy to get stuck in that position. But I think if you take a step back, you value your time, like make it a priority, do something that you like doing. Don't spend your whole life doing something that you don't like. And I think that was what always pushed me to keep trying to find something else. I mean, it is hard. Like, you go down a certain path, you spend a lot of time, and then you want to go in a different direction, and that just feels like super overwhelming. But I think for me, it was just, wanting to do something that I liked doing.
Thanks, Erin. I completely agree. I feel like I have people in my life, half of them who love their jobs and love going into work every day, and then the other half that do it just for a paycheck and have been doing the same job for years and years and just don't like it and are too scared to change. And that really inspired me to try to be in that first group. And, as I mentioned with my career change, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. And every couple of months, I would say, this is the month that I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to try for my dream job. And then I would get too scared and I wouldn't try. And then a couple months later, I would say, this is the month that I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to try this month and you know, go for it. And it's scary. And no matter what point you are in your career, I think it's hard to think about making a change and trying something and potentially failing, but you'll never know if you don't go for it. And for me, it was more important to try and to hopefully find that career that made me love waking up and going to my job every day, as opposed to being stuck in something that I didn't really love to do. But there's another question in the chat, so I'll pass this over to Michael. What parts of your job do you find more challenging?
You know, I think, you know, when I reach out to people and I try to get them to buy Okta, sometimes they say no, right? Or sometimes they hang up on the phone when I say, hi, this is Mike from Okta. They go click. And so what's challenging is that it's rejection. Just like maybe we will all be rejected if we send out a resume and they say thank you, but no. So to sort of look at those moments and say, you know what, it isn't really about me. It's about this person who I called up or I was talking to, and it's that maybe my product didn't meet their needs, or maybe the role wasn't appropriate for me because there were others who were better qualified. And you know, and one of my colleagues mentioned earlier, those moments, I'm going to grab my dog, we're going to go for a walk, I'm going to get a little fresh air, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to and try again.
Thanks. Does anybody else in the Okta team want to chime in about a part of your job that you find challenging?
Yes, I just wanted to add before I answer that question to what Michael was saying about rejection. I think another important thing to keep in mind is sometimes when you're applying for jobs, especially when you're really new in your career, you don't have a lot of experience, you might have to apply for 100 jobs before somebody calls you back and gives you an interview. And it's really, really important that you don't give up. Because I've definitely had friends and family members who apply for 10 jobs, they get a bunch of no's, and then they say, oh, I can't do that job. Like, I'm not qualified to do that job. And that's usually not the case. It could just be that it's a really competitive field or particularly competitive job. Like, it's, yeah, I think it's really important that you just keep applying and just don't give up. But in terms of what I found most challenging, so, you know, like I was saying, I just started this role about 3 months ago. I did a complete 180. I switched from doing consulting and marketing to doing software engineering, and that has been, I think, the most challenging part for me, and this is often going to be the case when you're in a new role, is I just have no idea what I'm doing. And it just takes a long time to really understand the ins and outs of your jobs and how to do it to the best of your ability. And you have to just sort of like sit in that discomfort of, you know, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have all the answers. I might make somebody mad. But eventually you'll figure it out and you'll be fine.
We have a question that came up. Did you have any rude customer? How did you handle that situation?
You know, a famous woman once said, when they go low, we go high. So, you know, that's the tack you take. You know, I don't know why they might have been rude to me. Maybe they're having a bad day. They got into an auto accident at the way to work. I don't take it personally. For sure, I don't meet them at their game. I thank you very much. I'm sorry this didn't work for you. Maybe we'll talk again in the future. Have a nice day. But always maintain composure and politeness, because maybe tomorrow they're going to say, and this has happened, you know, Mike, I had a bad day. I apologize. Or they're going to be in a new role in 3 years and we're going to meet again. So always maintain your composure. And that famous woman was Michelle Obama, by the way.
Just adding to that as well, I think the other thing to keep in mind too is when you're early on in your career, especially when you're going through high school and college, you will probably have a ton of customer service jobs. Like, that's just, you know, what you can find at with that level of experience. And you will definitely have people that are rude to you because people just tend to not be super nice to customer service people sometimes. But like Michael was saying, like you just have to learn how to separate yourself and your self-worth from how that person is talking to you, because most of the time, like people care about themselves way more than they care about other people most of the time. So if they're being rude to you, it's most likely an issue with them and not an issue with you.
We have a student asking, how would you describe your organization's culture?
I can jump in here. I love working at Okta. I've been here for, like I said, over 3 years. I actually had an internship at Okta and then a full-time role and then switched to another full-time role. And so I absolutely love working at Okta. I think one of my favorite things about Okta is our culture, and we're very much a company who is super passionate, super intelligent people, but we want to win together. I think you see that across all of the different aspects of our business, but you really see that employees want to help each other grow and learn and develop and find their passions. I found that, in my own career path, all of my previous managers wanted me to find a role that I loved because they knew that I was just going to make me show up to work an even better, harder worker than I had been previously. So I think that's one of my favorite things about Okta's culture, is that it's just really a company of people who want you to succeed both personally and professionally, because we spend so much time together at work, and we are with each other so often, and we're all working so hard towards this common goal. I think it's important to be a part of a team and a company that supports you both in your professional career path, but also making sure that you're okay personally and checking in about your mental health, and providing you with some of those additional benefits to make sure that you can be the best person you can be as well.
There's
Reflect.
another student question in the chat that I want to bring up before it gets buried. And how do you keep up your motivation and dedication towards your job? I know, Ali, I heard you say that you were working in an apartment for a long time, that you knew it wasn't right, but you were still showing up to work every day. So like, how do you balance that? Not feeling like it's the perfect match, but still needing to be your best?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think one of the ways that I kept up my motivation was, again, just trying to remind myself that I was still learning and I was still growing, even if it wasn't necessarily, exactly the way that I thought I wanted to be growing and exactly the career path that I wanted. There were still so many skills that I was able to develop and grow and, get responsibility of, that I knew would only just help me get that next step in my career. And so my motivation just came from knowing that I was still working towards and progressing, and I wasn't feeling stagnant. And when I was, that's when I would go to my manager and say, how can I learn more? How can I take on more? I see that had this project, or you had this meeting. Can I be in the next one? Can I, learn and take on that project next time it comes around? And just finding different ways within my old role that I could still get those new projects and new responsibilities and kind of diversify my learning. Because there was periods where I just felt like I was doing the same thing over and over again and I wasn't learning. And so it took me having to take that first initiative and that first step to say, how can I do more? Is there anything that I can help you with? What are some, I want exposure to these different things, even if I wasn't able or, had the skill set yet to own the project. Maybe I could just sit in on the meetings and start to pick up new information and new learnings. So sometimes it does take going a little bit above and beyond, but it's totally worth it in the end when you get a lot of that different exposure.
And some days are hard. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. There are some days when I said, you got to say to yourself, I'm doing this to pay the bills today, or I'm doing this because I know next week's going to be better. So every day isn't always like perfect. But if you look at the big picture and keep it in perspective, I think that's what helps on those harder days when somebody hangs up or whatever it is.
I think it also helps a lot to have a plan. Like if you know this is not the job I want to be doing, this isn't for me, you'll feel a lot better about going to work every day doing it if you are making concrete steps towards your next job, the one that you actually want.
If you reflect back on your first job or first internship, how difficult was that for you to put yourself out there and be nervous and like so new, so everything is so new to you? How challenging was that for you, and how did you have that courage to kind of move forward and keep pushing yourself to get that internship or that first job?
So I'm gonna chime in on this. Um, this is not the first job like in my career, but right after my masters, me and my husband, we decided to move to Bay Area. So after finishing my master's at UIC, I was looking for an internship in Bay Area, and all my work experience was within Chicago area. The technology difference uh, in Bay Area companies was as compared to the other companies was so huge that it was very hard to crack those interviews. It took a very long time for me, and it was so many rejections, almost gave up, but then eventually something worked out. So yeah, just keep at it.
And I think it's hard, especially if you're high school student or early in your college career, to walk into an internship thinking, what do I know? And you're around people who might be more experienced than you. But I think, remember, they would not have asked you to do it if they didn't think you were capable, number one, or if they wanted to help you learn. I think it's a combination of two, sort of two sides to that coin. Um, you know, keep up your optimism, but understand that they're not expecting the world from you. You're new. They brought you in for a reason. It's a learning experience. Take advantage of that.
Yeah, to chime in there as well, my first full-time legit internship was at Okta, and at the time I lived on the East Coast, so it meant I moved across the country to take this internship and was completely out on a limb. I had never had experience working for a tech company. I really didn't understand what our product was at all. I had no idea what the company was doing. And I think, back to Michael's point, they hire interns because they need help. And they hire entry level roles, because they need the help and they need support, and they're really not expecting you to know everything. They're looking for people who are hard workers and who are energetic and who are willing to try new things and to take on new projects and to learn along the way. And they're hoping that by the end of it, you've learned a lot, not that you've come in knowing everything. They want to help teach you as you go. Um, so I do think that is really important to remember, that they really don't expect you to know everything on day one. And I think I ended my internship still not really understanding what our technology did. And then they hired me full time anyway. So they're really not expecting you to understand the entire company and how everything works on day one or 3 months in or even a year in sometimes.
And to add to that, just on the flip side, if you start an internship and they do expect that, you're probably in the wrong place. Because it wouldn't be that great. I mean, sometimes you end up in the wrong role, or not great cultures. And if you're feeling like they're not treating me great, they're probably not, and it's probably time to move on.
It
So I
looks like
see a
there's
question.
yeah.
Sorry, Allie, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Michael. I think we're going to say the same thing.
So 2 years from now, do I still see myself working here? So I'm here with some Okta colleagues. So of course I'm going to say yes. Okta is awesome. It is, by the way. So I think so, but I'm still growing up. So I might go to culinary school, or who knows, but that's the plan.
Yeah, I can jump in and go next. And Okta folks, this is a safe space. Feel free to be honest. But I just started my current position about 6 months ago. So I do hope that 2 years from now, I'll still be at Okta. I hope that I will have moved up a little bit and won't still be in the exact current position that I have now. But I do have a lot of different dreams and a lot of different experiences that I want. And I've been extremely transparent with my team and my manager about where I want to go next and what skills I want. I actually have told her in my interview and in my meeting since that I want her job. And so if she's, going to continue to be in her job, it might take me leaving the company to have those kind of experiences. But because we've built that relationship, she wants to support me and help me find that role and that next opportunity. And she's going to do as much as she can to ensure that I can find those opportunities at Okta. But will understand if I have to leave the company to find those additional opportunities and to grow my personal, and professional career.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat as Allie, where, I just started in this role. So far I love Okta, and this is actually the first time I've worked for a company that I actually could see myself still being here in 2 years. And part of that is because it's the role that I actually want. But the other thing is, I've had similar conversations with my manager where he knows that my end goal is not to be a dev support engineer, it's to be doing full-time software engineering. And that could happen at Okta, but if it doesn't, it could happen somewhere else. So I think as long as you're just it's important to be transparent with your managers about what you want and where you see yourself going, because if they're good managers, they should help you get there and they should support you in your desire to do that.
Jumping onto another question in the chat, do you think there is still stuff you need to work on or that you still have trouble with? Absolutely. Every single day. There is so much that I need to continue working on and that I need to continue to grow and develop. And I'm someone who personally really loves feedback and needs that feedback in order to feel like I'm growing. And so I've encouraged not only my manager, but everyone that I work with across my team to continue to telling me what I need to work on, to ensure that I don't have any blind spots and that I can work on those things and continue to develop myself. So absolutely, I imagine that I will still be working on things 10, 20, 30 years from now, and that I'll never stop growing and learning and developing those skills.
As we're rounding off the hour here, we do have one last question on the chat. If you could pick another career or job, what would it be?
For me, I'd go back, join a band. I'll be the singer I used to be. But yeah, I absolutely love the job I have. I love software development. And my particular job also involves interacting with various different teams. So ours is kind of a horizontal team. So yeah, I would still be doing both.
So I'll say the job I probably wouldn't do because I don't have enough patience, or I probably am not inclined to work so hard, is to be a high school teacher. So shout out to you high school teachers. I'm married to one. You guys do, especially these days, major props to you all. I would probably go to something easier, like maybe learn how to code and be a developer, or maybe something completely different, like culinary skills.
I'm trying to think so since the pandemic started, I've actually gotten really into really deep into a couple of knitting and sewing, which you can see this big pile of stuff I have over here. I made this recently with an octopus. So if I could just do that all day long, I kind of feel like I would. But kind of like what Bhavana, I actually do really like my job. So if I could just do both part-time, I think I would love that.
Yeah, agreed. That I definitely like my current job and feel really proud to be working in it, but have always wanted to know what it would be like to code. I am one of those people that, in hindsight, wish I would have maybe tried engineering in college, and gone that route and learned a little bit more. I'm very math and science oriented, and somehow ended up in a more creative career path, but wish I would have gone back and maybe taken some more engineering or coding classes and had a bit of more of those skills.
I have one last question, which is if you have any advice for our juniors? Put yourself in the junior position, going back in time. What would you tell yourself or tell our junior students right now in terms of advice? What would be one advice you would give them?
I would say the one thing in my life that I regret doing is I took out a lot of loans to go to college for a degree that I do not use. So if I could have figured out a way to just take longer to graduate from college and not take out as much money in loans, I think that would have made my life infinitely easier.
I think a piece of advice that I would share is just to talk to people and ask people and let everyone know, what it is that you want to do. I think when I was in high school and starting out in early college, I was nervous to ask friends and family for help and didn't want to admit that I needed help. But, connecting with your classmates and your teachers and your family and friends and just letting them know, hey, I think I want to go to college, but I don't know what's a good college for me. Or, hey, I think I want to go into this career path, but I don't really know anyone. And even if it's not setting you up with an internship or a job, maybe it's just folks that can help have informational interviews and just expand your network. I think as you'll see as you grow up, the world is small and there's a lot of times that you'll interact with these same people, and a lot of people know different people that can help you. And so I think just for me, I wish I would have been more open and upfront with everyone that I knew, trying to get the help and support and not feeling like I had to do it all on my own.
Yeah, both good points. I think what Aaron said is super spot on. If you can avoid a ton of debt coming out of college, it will really allow you to keep your job options more flexible to go do things that you would like to do, if at all possible. So maybe think about that if you're choosing to go to college, if that's in your plans. But I think, focusing on what you like to do, really think about that carefully. What's going to get you out of bed in the middle of January when it's 10 degrees below zero and you've got to go scrape the snow off your car? What's going to get you to work, right? And that's going to help. That's going to help a long way.
I think I did my advice, my intro, that be aware, not just in your field, maybe explore other things, try it out, listen to, and I'm speaking from software perspective, listen to podcasts, read on blogs. It tells you so much about the field that you're trying to learn. And if at all possible, and this is something that I would do if I can be 16 again, is not stress out about career choices. I was so stressed. It was a lot of social pressure as well. This is what you need to do. This is where you need to go. It will happen. Just keep at it and don't stress out. Never helps.
With that, thank you so much. We're past time. We do want to respect you guys' time. I know how grateful I am, how grateful our teachers are for your time. You guys are all over the United States. Here you are with us today. You choose to be here to share your perspective, to share your experiences, to give recommendations and advice, share your stories. We really appreciate all that you're doing for our community here in Oakland. So thank you so much for being part of this. We would love to kind of hopefully see you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks for letting us join. If there's anything
Thank
we
you
can
all,
do
everybody.
to help, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to help.
Good luck to everybody.
All the best, everyone. Bye.
Thank you all so much.
Hey, look what I did with her.
Students who are still here, just really quickly, you guys are going to be applying for internships soon. So if your advisors are prepping you for resume, to get you your application in, things like that. Remember, your guest has told you, like, first job, first career is not actually easy to acquire. First job, first internship is not hard to acquire. It's really hard to acquire. But here you are having the whole school back you up and create opportunities for you. I would highly recommend and encourage you to take the opportunity that's given to you and put yourself out there. I know it's scary, but put yourself out there and try out an internship this summer with myself, with Drew, with Mr. Nardi, and with people that's going to be there to support you.
Does any, I feel like the only people who are still left here are students. Are there any students who have any questions about, you know, who those people were or what they were talking about that you feel more comfortable asking me and Drew and Mr. Huang? You can put it in the chat. We're watching that thing.
I'll stop recording as well. So.